The NBL1 East season is back and we could not be more excited. Finally, we got to see our favourite sides on the court in their 2026 forms after a long off-season. Of course, the big guns came out to play in round one, but today I'd like to look at some of the big performances from players who might have flown under the radar a little bit. These players might have just been given an opportunity at their existing club or at a new club, or just been putting in the work in the summer to elevate their game. Hey, some of them are just ready to make a statement on the league. Either way, here are some of the players who made a big splash in round one who you simply must keep an eye on this NBL1 East season. Welcome to Waratah on VCR. Now before we get started, please hit that subscribe button. Come on, it's free and you won't miss a video in the future. We just hit 200 subscribers, which for a pretty niche channel is something I'm quite proud of. Let's keep the growth going, and of course feel free to leave a comment below. Hit the like button, why not? Come on, it's free too. Or if you want to contact me, you can do that directly on Waratah on VCR Instagram. Okay, it's time for tip-off. Our first player of the day is Bailey Hanson from the North's Bears. What an NBL1 debut weekend for Bailey Hanson. The 18-year-old came out and looked like a veteran already on the big stage. Honestly, coming into the season, Bailey probably wasn't considered underrated, but may have got lost in the big name signings from around the league and the big signings from the North Bears. The young gun had 17 points on debut on 60% shooting as part of a dramatic overtime win over Newcastle. He then backed it up the next day with 14 points off 50% shooting against the Central Coast Crusaders. The thing that stood out to me most in those first two games was his efficiency. For such a young player, his shot selection was on point. Not overchancing his arm, but fitting into the team system and making the most out of high percentage shots. Bailey does play under coach Tom Gallup in high school as well over at Riverview, so that probably made him feel very comfortable in the system. Nonetheless, Gallup trusted him to start in both games, which is super impressive considering the amount of star talent that is on this North roster. And not only that, the amount of guards they have with players like Mikey Young, Jake Weinstein, and Robbie Moore. It looks like Hanson will hold on to that starting spot and flourish. Bailey is coming off an incredible summer where he was named MVP at the national championships, the under-20 national championships that is, leading New South Wales men to their first title in that division since 2007. In that tournament, he averaged 19 points per game, 7 rebounds per game, 5 assists. Wow, he was really filling it up and just doing it all. In fact, in the grand final, he had 29 points, 8 rebounds, and 3 assists to go along with 5 steals to secure that win over Western Australia. Again, Bailey might not be a player flying under the radar on the Aussie basketball scene, but he's just announced himself as one of the top players on the NBL1 level. Number 2, we're heading over to Sydney Uni, and it is Ella Gale. Ella Gale has well and truly arrived on the NBL1 scene. Last season, she was showing signs of dominance, but now, with an off-season under her belt, she looks like she could be ready to go to the next level in 2026. In round 1 against the Bulls, Gale was a force. And yes, that was a pun intended, but no more of that after this. She had 22 points off 56% shooting, including 3 threes, and she also inhaled 16 rebounds. That's right, 16 rebounds, which is just an insane amount. If it was up for grabs, Ella was going and getting it, which also led to plenty of good putback opportunities for her. Gale is your perfect center who will do the dirty work on defense and rebounding, as well as finishing strongly inside. But what makes her so special is her ability to shoot and knock down threes from outside. She holds the record for most threes in a youth league season. Now, I hope I haven't got this wrong, but she got 108 threes in 21 games in 2023. In that same year, she also took out Youth League Rookie of the Year. So if you've been following the youth competitions, you would have had a bit of a marker on Ella Gale. With her height, she can really shoot over anyone and seems to be doing it at an efficient rate too. Last season, she was already averaging 10 points per game of 53% shooting to go along with 10 rebounds. So not necessarily a player who was going unnoticed, but on a hillside that was struggling a bit, maybe the league wasn't giving too much attention to Ella Gale. But this season, it looks like Hills and Ella Gale are ready to dominate. On both ends, Gale looks like she could be one of the top centers in the league. And with an improved Hills roster around her, she could be part of something big at the Hive. At number 3 on our list, we have Jackson Smyth. Write this name down, take a screenshot, whatever you need to do to remember Jackson Smyth. He's going to be big this season. Not only did he put up huge numbers in his first 2 games as a Spider, it was super exciting to watch. On Saturday, he had 20 points, including 4 threes against the Central Coast Crusaders. Then the day after against the Hawks, stepped it up to 5 threes in the game for 23 points. Jackson plays with some serious swagger, featuring tight handles and agility. Plus, he has some serious elevation on his jump shot, which allows him to get his shot over pretty much any defender, especially on those turnarounds. Over the summer, Jackson Smyth led the UBL in steals per game, showing that he can be very handy defensively as well. In that competition, he also averaged an astounding 27 points per game. Last year, he played NBL1 with Manly. He joined halfway through the season after returning from college. But with Manly, he was stuck behind a few more established Sea Eagles players. So this season, he's joined the Spiders, has immediately shown that he's ready to be a star on the NBL1 level. If you get a chance, make sure you check out Jackson Smyth's game. It's so much fun to watch, and he plays with a lot of confidence as well. So it's looking like Smyth and the Spiders is just a perfect fit. Definitely one to watch. Next up, we're staying in the men's division. We have Kobe Shannon. Kobe Shannon is back in Sydney and looking like his game is on a whole new level, a whole new planet, really. Honestly, it's not a huge surprise considering he is one of the hardest working players in the league. He puts a lot of time into his game. And over the last few years, he's shown signs that he can be a hyper-talented player in this league. But what stood out this week and stood out in his first game as an Inner West Bull was being one of the leading players on a team that is already stacked with high-caliber players. Really, Kobe Shannon isn't, in a sense, unknown, but he is underrated for his potential to be a superstar in this league. In that game against Hills, he had 21 points off an efficient 50% shooting, which included 5 3-pointers. He also had 7 assists, showing that he can play make too and that he's unselfish and willing to set his teammates up. Not only that, the Bulls got the W in that game with Shannon showing off his quick trigger jump shot that was super efficient too. He also looked really sharp in the pick and roll situations, either pulling up or going downhill. And just on the eye test too, you could just tell he's been working his ass off in the off season to get in shape and add extra elements to his game, as well as sharpening and refining his skills. He spent the last 2 seasons with Newcastle, last season averaging 12 points per game, and had 8 games with 15 or more points. Though Newcastle's season was a bit disjointed last year, but Kobe was definitely a bright spot in that team. So moving back to Sydney and joining the Inner West Bulls seems like a perfect fit for his play style. He'll be able to spot up with other players drawing in a lot of defensive attention, but will also have a fair bit of ball handling responsibility with Jasper Rantoy as really the only other starting guard on this side. So don't be surprised to see Kobe grabbing some Star 5 votes this season. He's off to an amazing start and he's going to be so much fun to watch as the season goes on. Next on the list, we have Josie Radan. Now, you might remember Josie as Josie Bullman, so no mistaken identity there. This isn't a new player. If you weren't convinced last season that Josie is the real deal, she has come out in round 1 and shown she is an elite talent. It's not particularly surprising if you've tracked Josie's career over the last few years, but what's been so fun about her journey is watching her develop and every year coming back with a new skill set and elevated talent. If you've been watching Josie over the last few years, this isn't particularly surprising because year in, year out, she seems to come back from the off season with a more refined skill set in even better condition and also contributing more. And it's showing up in the stat sheet. Against Canberra, she had 20 points off an incredible 88% field goal percentage. Nate Cohen would have been very happy with that. Not only that, she was a perfect 7 for 7 off 2-pointers, so effective inside the arc. She also had 10 rebounds and 2 steals to go along with it. All of that against a very difficult player to score against, which is Carly McAllister, who was one of the top forwards in this league. I think it's safe to say we can expect this all season long from Josie, or at least a double-double every game. I know it seems like a lot to ask, but with Josie's skill set, I think that's the bare minimum she'll be doing game in, game out. Not only this, Manly do love to play fast, which is perfect for her style. Radan gets out on the fast break, has become really effective at timing her cuts for easy finishes, and sometimes she'll just blow past defenders with her strength and her speed. Not only that, she is a relentless defender as well. So really the complete package. From a development player in NBL1 2022 to a starter and a walking double-double in 2026, you gotta love the rise and you gotta love the story of Josie Radan. Back to the men's competition, the next player I have on this list is Jude Jennings. It seems like there was a bit of an exodus from Newcastle in the off-season with Kobe Shannon, Leo O'Boyle, Miles Cherry and EJ Stevens departing the club. But as the old saying goes, when God closes a door, he opens a window. And whether you're religious or not, this has been a blessing for the plethora of emerging young talent they have up there in Newcastle. It's been especially great for Jude Jennings. Over the opening round, Jennings had 17 points and 5 rebounds in an overtime loss versus Norths, and then the next day he came out and dropped 15 on heels. He was looking super sharp out there with a quick trigger on his three-pointers and a super fast first step to get to the basket and finish strong. Last season, Jennings was the MVP of the Waratah 2 Youth Men's League. And if you're wondering why he's in Waratah 2, it's because Newcastle dropped down a division. So that was their top youth side last year. He was also selected in the Star 5 and helped to lead the Falcons to a grand final victory. In that impressive season, he had an incredible 58-point game. That's right, 58 points, where he made 13 threes in a single game. That wasn't particularly surprising though, because he also had a 55-point game and a 42-point game. That's just incredible numbers, no matter what competition you're in. That's very hard to do. Across the season, he had a league-leading 29 points per game and was also the MVP of that league. Over the summer as well, he was playing for Newcastle University in the University Basketball League, where he averaged an amazing 26 points per game, which is 5th in the league. I think Jude Jennings is going to be a big part of the Newcastle program, not just this year, but for seasons to come, as looking like a real star on the rise in the Newcastle program. As well, looking at the makeup of their squad, that shooting guard position isn't quite locked in yet. I mean, you've got Chairmaker and Mandrell Worthy there on the wings, but I think they're going to need some more guards to go alongside Jaden Goodwin. So the table's really set for Jude Jennings to have a massive season, and he's definitely going to be one to keep an eye on throughout 2026. Our next player who may have been flying under the radar but has been playing NBL1 for a while now is Emma Donnelly. Last year, Emma Donnelly locked in her spot as a starter after Emily Simons and Sarah Schicker decided not to play in 2025. Immediately, Donnelly reminded the East why she was such a hyped junior talent, as well as a Sydney Flames development player a couple seasons ago. This season, she's already shown that she can be a big name in this league. In the first game against Newcastle, she had 13 points off 50% shooting and 11 rebounds in a gritty Norths win. Now, what stands out to me in that is the rebounding. On a side that last season struggled in their bigs positions, maybe didn't have a whole lot of depth there, and same this season, Donnelly looks like she is ready to get in there and do the dirty work. And that's exactly what the North Bears need. In Game 2, she lit it up against the Central Coast Crusaders with 5 three-pointers to get 17 points to go along with an impressive 8 rebounds too. Unfortunately, the highlights and the minute matches were not available for the Crusaders game. I'm not too sure why, but hey, here's some Don highlights from last season. I promise I'll figure out synergy this season. Just give me a bit of time and space. If you know, you know, but I don't know. But back to Emma, she is a great shooter who has become more and more consistent over the years. She was an underrated part of that North's 2023 NBL1 East Championship before heading over to college. Upon returning to Australia though, she has come back bigger and better than ever. Now for Norths, she'll provide much needed shooting, and much like Ella Gale, who we were talking about a little earlier, she can get her shot off easily with her height. Not only that, Donnelly is effective off the dribble with a plethora of push shots, and even the occasional midi, which we love to see. Donnelly also works so hard to get out and run in the fast break, which is always rewarded in Renee Gallup's systems. Don't be surprised to see ED as one of the third or even second options on this North side, which is just stacked with talent. Either way, I think she'll be in for a biggest season yet. And before I go, I just got one more bonus. Come on, we give you a little bit of a special here, so you might as well hit that subscribe button or even give us a like. And that bonus play is Josh Payne. Now, people will remember Josh Payne from his time with Norths as part of their youth league program and then in the NBL1 system briefly, as well as starring for USyd on the UBL level. He's had a bunch of unlucky injury setbacks, but now is looking healthy and ready to go in a Hills Hornets jersey. He had an impressive 23 points versus Newcastle, which included 5 threes off 71% shooting. That's 5 threes off 71% shooting. That is so good. He has a quick trigger, and once he heats up, good luck trying to cool him down. He's just automatic from 3-point. I think some of those injuries, though, would have slowed down his effectiveness on that first step in getting to the basket, but that's not to worry because Josh Payne has a deep bag of finishing moves and is really skilled around the ring. So it won't be too much of a problem because he's still very effective when attacking a closeout. It's great to see Josh back out there and on the court, so keep an eye for him, and the Hills Hornets this season could be a dark horse to have a massive impact on the league. So there you have it. There are some players that may have flown under the radar in the preseason or in the offseason that stood up and showed out in NBL1 East Round 1. Is there any players I missed? Is there anyone who maybe you think should have got a little more attention? Of course, we're here to shine light on all the players in our great NBL1 East competition. So sorry if I missed out on anyone. And sorry if I said these players are maybe a little underrated. These are just some players who I think deserve a little more love and are definitely going to be thrilling to watch in 2026. Until next time, thanks for joining me, James, on Waratah on VCR.